Hello, welcome back to another Reddit video. Serious. Nurses and doctors of Reddit, what's your weirdest, scariest paranormal stories that took place during work? Can we get this video to 10 likes? That would be epic. Enjoy. I used to work in a nursing home as both a CNA and an LPN, and while nothing too crazy happened, there were definitely things that happened out of the ordinary. I remember one time after someone had died, I was cleaning up her body and the door to the room swung wide open even though it had been firmly latched. Nobody was there. It gave me the creeps. There were instances of furniture being moved, lights turning on and off by themselves, and toilets randomly flushing by themselves as well. I also remember I had one resident one night who asked me to make sure I closed the door to the closet that was at the end of her bed, and she told me that when it was open that woman kept going in and out of it all night and it kept her awake. When I worked at the funeral home, I was told a story about an elderly lady that had died. The husband said he wanted her to be buried with her ring as she never took it off. My coworker was in the morgue and was washing the body. She removed the ring to mark it down on the paperwork. As soon as she did, a styrofoam head they used for wigs went flying across the room. She just said out loud, all right, I'll put your ring back on. No more disturbances." I worked in a pediatric hospital and had always heard that the 4th floor right outside our oncology unit was haunted. I worked 312s normally but would pick up overtime and picked up a night shift. I was working in the NICU, which happened to also be on the 4th floor but on the opposite side. The oncology unit had a staircase that was a shortcut down to the cafeteria, which was on the 2nd floor. At about 3 a.m. I was ready to take a short break and wanted a cup of coffee from the cafeteria, so I decided to take that staircase. I walked through the automatic double doors and saw a kid skipping down the hall. I called out to him as I was afraid a little kid had snuck out of a patient room. As soon as I called out to him, he turned and in the blink of an eye totally vanished. A lot of other nurses and docs had seen the same little kid skipping in that same hallway. Of course, I chalked it up to just exhaustion and didn't really think about it much after that. But you are damn sure I didn't use that hallway at night ever again. What was he wearing? To be honest, he was gone so quickly I didn't even really notice. I do kind of remember him wearing shorts without shoes. I've worked in a small family-run nursing home for 6 years as a nurse aide. It was an orphanage before it became a nursing home, and unfortunately before being shut down the orphanage had a history of severe abuse and neglect. Unfortunately, it's not gossip, the owner herself has told us. When residents get close to death, they always see a little girl. One of my patients, a very alert gentleman, he knew all our names and was very alert and oriented. I was passing dinner trays and saw that he had his back turned and was talking and laughing in the corner. I knocked and asked him who he was talking to, and he chucked and said, "This little girl came into my room. She was scared." He died 3 days later. About 6 months later, had another patient screaming about a little girl grabbing his feet and she needed to leave him alone. He died that night. She's come up over the years, it's always the same thing, they see her and then they die. Other coworkers have had the same experience. It's very unsettling. Edit. Sorry for grammar errors. Something I've always struggled with and am working on it. That actually sounds like a nice story to me. A little girl who never had a family keeps these people company as they're nearing death. I want to see a movie like that, except I feel like it would turn into a horror movie by the end. I was working at night and one of the patients died while I was in the room. We tried everything to revive this person but it didn't work, so after doing the papers and everything I went to another place in the hospital, and I swear to God that this patient who I saw dead touched my right arm. I think that I have never cried that much in my life. Maybe it was their way of saying thanks for trying. That's a very sweet thought. My brother-in-law's son, sister's stepson, was in a bad accident. We had gathered at the ICU before he passed and I went in with my sister and her 2 kids. They fell apart seeing their brother in such a bad state. They had already made the decision to take him off life support. Now they were letting family in before he died. My niece and nephew didn't want to go to his side. I brought them forward and told them this was the last time they would see him and the only chance to say goodbye. I was crying a little bit myself. I had to bring them up this bedside. Later that night, after he passed, I was driving home and as clear as if he was sitting right next to me, I heard him thank me. I told him he was welcome. There is probably some medical explanation for this, but still the weirdest thing I've seen as a nurse so far. We had a very robust, confused old lady on our floor. Her room was in front of the nurse's station so we could keep an eye on her, and had one of our nurse's aides as a sitter too. She was always fighting, kicking, trying to get out of bed, very restless and agitated, as some patients I've had before can get before death. One day we were called into the room as her heart rate was going down and she lay still with her eyes open. It was 30, 20, then flatlined. We checked for a pulse and did not find any. She was a DNR so we did not attempt resuscitation. We close her eyes, prepare to get the body bag and call the family. The sitter remains in there to start getting the body ready. Less than 10 minutes later she calls us back in. The old lady is at it again. Hitting, kicking, trying to get out of the bed. She came back to life. Honestly, we found the situation hilarious, and I still have never seen any patient come back like that on their own. I think she made it out of the hospital too. If she won't let the nurses confine her to a bed, why would she let death confine her either? She's got things to do. Gosh darn it. She had probably remembered she left the oven on. Congrats, you made it to the end. Here's an awesome deal. If you share this with 5 people you will have good luck for the next week. Also please make sure to subscribe for more epic Reddit videos like these. I'll see you very soon.